And so let's get into our first quadrant here, which is our D. Why do we start with the D's? Well, there are multiple reasons we start with D's. First, it's disc, and so it spells with a D first. But also because our disc people didn't want to wait. They got here and they're like, let's do this. What am I? Great, now I know. D people, 3 words that can describe them are dominant, direct, driver. Now, statistically, they are about 10% of the population. And I always say, why 10%? Well, because God knew we couldn't handle any more. Because if everybody were drivers, D's, boy, with that, whew, right? And so we can call these kind of type A personalities. These are the go-getters. Some things that describe them. They desire control. They want to lead. If they're in a group and there's any question of who's going to lead, they're like, you know what, let me just go ahead and take control. Why don't you take some notes for us? And why don't you, and like, well, who elected you? Well, nobody else stepped up. Now, they may not have given a moment to step up, but nobody else did. And so they want that control, but they also want the freedom to lead. They want freedom and control all at the same time. They don't want to give freedom. They want freedom to lead. And they love difficult assignments. They want to take the things and take that next hill. Don't give them something easy. They want something hard, and they want to process it, not to the detailed level, but process it to how do we move forward. Now, there's some also things that are kind of unique about D's, and that they go with their gut. They know they're right. And it's like, they don't, it's maybe another kind of task person we're going to talk about a little while is the C that looks at the details and really processes and researches like, nah, we don't need to do any of that. I know I'm right. Well, the statistics show you may not be. Well, the statistics also could be wrong, couldn't they? Right? The data doesn't have to be right because I know what I'm doing. And it's really hard to convince them they are not right. Right? And that could be a negative. It can be a positive if they are, because they're going to be set in this. They're kind of like quick dry cement. They make the decision, it's quick dry, we're done, let's go. And other people may not quite go that fast, but this is that active side of them. And their mantra is, let's take the next hill. We've taken this hill, now let's go to the next. Now that doesn't mean that everybody's with them, but they're on to the next hill. And they respond best to direct answers. If asked a question, where are we on this? They don't want, well, you see. No, tell me where we are. There's a guilty pleasure of mine, so this is kind of like a moment here. Hi, my name is Scott, and I like Judge Judy. I record Judge Judy. You can ask my family. I love to sit and watch Judge Judy. I don't know what it is about her. I'm just being honest, okay? Admit it. All right. And so what I love about her is she'll be like, all right, did you do this? Yes or no? Well, Judge, no. That's a yes or no question. Answer it yes or no. Well, you see, no. We're going to be done here if you don't answer my question. She's very much a driver. That's why she makes a lot of money to do what she does. And she only has like 8 catchphrases. That's all she uses. They don't keep me here because I'm gorgeous. They keep me here because I'm smart. That kind of stuff. But she's a D. That's why she makes a lot of money. And so some of the negatives, though, is you may not always get to hear the whole story. From if a D's, you're talking to a D, they may not get to hear the whole story. If you are a D, you may not care to hear the whole story. So you may not have all the facts to make an informed decision. Now, on page 17, I love using happy faces. So if you were to see a happy face, the D is the big happy, right? And they're over all the other faces. Now you notice that not all those faces are happy, and the D doesn't really care. But they're there, and as long as they're getting their work done, life is good. Can you guys think of any famous D-type personalities from what you know about them? You don't know them well, but we're going to make some judgments, some perceptions. Who are some famous Ds that you might know of? Hitler. Oh my God. He went Hitler. Yeah, Hitler. I would say that. He didn't care if everybody was happy. He got what he wanted. Yeah, yes, that's a good one. That's good. Who else? People are like, man, how do I recover from Hitler? How about in business? Anybody know any business people?
Business people. Well, what about Steve Jobs? Yeah.
Steve Jobs? Yep. People said the last thing you'd want to do is get an elevator with Steve Jobs, because he would start drilling you for answers, and he could sense weakness. And if he thought you didn't know what you were talking about, you're out. You're off the project. Somebody mentioned Donald Trump. Art of the Deal. You're fired. I used to love The Apprentice, another show, right? Yeah. You're fired. It's like, oh, he didn't care. He didn't care. He's like, you're out. You're the weak link. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And so it's not about, let me make you happy as we do this. Let's, how you feeling? I'm so sorry this had to happen. Nope, you're out. In fact, anyway, I won't go there. And so there's some growth areas for a D. So if you were to talk to a D, or anybody think that they may be a D? Anybody agree that she's a D? Yeah. Yeah.
But when that's why I was so shocked when he said Hitler, I was like, I'm not caring about people.
Well, and there could be a blend there as well, but you have some D, yeah.
I know I am.
And so here's some growth areas, maybe for you or others. The people are important, and they're not a liability. A lot of times D's see people as actually a liability in this. Showing feelings isn't weak. It's okay to show a feeling. It's okay to acknowledge, I'm sad.
I was called the opposite my whole life.
And that's probably that family of origin and life experience, right? You can't show feelings. Guys get that a lot. And so people say, well, guys don't show feelings. Well, a lot of times that was that other stuff that was put in there. And obviously some women as well on that. Yeah, because then people know our business. Well, details also are important. Now, a straight D doesn't really care much about details. Because they want that next hill. They don't care how we get there, just get there. Get it done. When I was in corporate, if I can share a quick story, once this credit card company, I actually worked my way up, and I was over all of our desktop support in one of our locations, or mobile locations, about 3,000 desktops, right? And I had a senior vice president, very deep personality, that decided he wanted to give motivational quotes every day. And to do that, he made a desktop, right? Your background that would be updated every day, that had his newest motivational verse, in his mind verse, that would go out, which meant then everybody's desktop had to be changed. Well, that was supposed to get filtered down from managers to people, and nobody really got that was what was supposed to happen. And so I got tasked with make this happen. I said, well, have the people been communicated with? No, we'll go ahead and make it happen. So I had to have these technicians go around and change people's desktop pictures to this new background. So people had their kids or their dog or their boat or their car, and we had to go in and change it and make it his motivational thing so he could motivate people through these wonderful, illustrious words. And so we got through, and it was one of those, literally said, look, either you get this done today or you're fired. And he liked me, but he wanted this done. So we got it done. And people, we had a floor plan. We had to literally check it off as you hit the desktop. So a couple days later, he's walking around and notices some people have it, some people don't. So I get called to the office. You didn't get your job done. What are you talking about? Some people, they don't have the desktop. So, well, they may have changed it back. Well, you need to figure out a way then. They can't change it back. So I had to go back through and update it again and now disable the ability to change it. And then once there was this outcry of how dare you do this, he's like, well, this isn't what I wanted. I want him happy. Make him happy. And so we had to go back through then and disable all that. Because it wasn't thought through. He knew what he wanted, and he was a D.
So I thought of another D.
You thought of another D?
While you were talking.
Yep.
The pointy-haired boss in Dilbert.
The pointy-haired boss, yes. Yeah.
Dilbert fans? Oh, you guys.
I love Dilbert. Pointy-haired boss and the CEO guy.
Yeah, it's just, have you ever read Dilbert? I have it on my desk. And so everybody reads it every day. I'm like,
yes, Dilbert, yes, it's a great character study in personalities.
Yeah,
and so when you look at this, you have to make sure that you're really processing for our Ds, that they're really thinking it through. But then also, if you're talking to a D, realize this is what they're looking for. This is their perception. They don't want to hear about your favorite sports team, most likely. They just want to get you to get the job done. And they don't want to hear all the details about how you got it done. Just say it's done and mean it. And it was done right. Just all the details are not necessary. But then also, an opinion does not make something factually correct. Right? Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. Right? So here are a couple verses to live by. This is James 3:17. I love this verse. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. This is a verse that a D could help them process through some things that may be outside of them that would be good to learn. And then also, Galatians 5:13, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. I love that verse too. Because a D loves to lead, and helping them process in a healthy way of how to lead through servant is really important. Okay? So, a couple biblical examples. Paul. Paul tends to be some D. Anybody know why I think Paul may be a little bit of D? He was driven. Man, no one was going to stop that man. They stoned him and they threw him out, so he crawls back in to preach a little bit more, right? I'm in jail, but my chains are to help.
He puts his opinion out there.
Puts the opinion out there.
Those letters, man.
Yeah. He's very direct.
Yeah.
He doesn't really sugarcoat. I love 1 Corinthians. No sugarcoating. But then also Sarah. Sarah tended to be a D as well. Sarah, the Old Testament, Abraham's wife, and when she hears that she's going to have a baby, what does she do?
Makes it happen.
Well, she laughs and then says, all right, what are we going to do? Let's get this happening. All right, well, you know what? Apparently I'm too old. Hey, take my servant. Wasn't quite what God's plan was, and many would say we're paying for that today. So thank you, Sarah. And so there's some summary here. The good stuff, they're going to do work. You can know that a D is going to get stuff done. They're going to keep moving. They love new ideas. Some of the bad stuff, they can get pushy. They can sometimes be insensitive, and they can be sarcastic when they don't get what they want. They're going to kind of beat you verbally into submission. And that's not a good thing, so we want to work on that. Okay, questions on D. Give me at least one comment or question, please, before I go on. It's in the rules. I'm not allowed to move that forward without a question or comment.
All of these are right. Like, really. I mean, like, when I go to work, I'm not there to be your friend.
Yeah, you have friends outside of work.
And my uncle is senior VP of this company that he's been with, and he started from way down here, and he's senior VP, and I now want to work for that company, and I'm like, I want your job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have your job. My brother has his bachelor's. He doesn't even use it. And I'm like, I'm going to get my master's.
Mm.
I'm going to beat you. I'm going to be the highest educated in our family. I'm going to do, so
Yep.
I am that way.
You are a D.
But I love details. I'm very detailed.
So that may be a bit of that, some of the other tasks. So you may not be a straight D, but from the way you're describing, D.
Pushy and sensitive and sarcastic, 100%.
Is that why Cliff left? No, it's good. No, I think you had to go to the bathroom. All right. Yeah. It's like,
And
and
I like the love new ideas, but they don't like new ideas that aren't thought out. They will assassinate you if you come to them with it.
well, that, and they don't like new ideas that aren't theirs.
Right. Exactly.
So if you can convince them it's their idea,
They're
in general they're like, oh yeah.
That way. I had to convince him it's his idea, and he's like, oh yeah, let's do this.
Where'd you get that from? No. And that is acknowledging, so again, this is understanding somebody else's personality to say, what do I need to do to help communicate with them, which is really what a lot of this is. Good. This is great, guys. You're doing a good job. Any questions? I want to make sure you guys feel comfortable on our Ds before we move on. You guys feeling good?
When it says they're insensitive and they show a glimmer of sensitivity, that really taking them out of their comfort zone?
So if the question is if they are not really all that sensitive and then they start to show sensitivity, in general it can be outside their comfort zone for the most part. I'll say a potential negative could be, look, if I show you emotion and if that's going to motivate you to get this done, then here's my emotion so you can get the job done.
It's not true emotion.
It may not be true emotion. Now I'm not saying, again, that could be really manipulative, but I have some D, and so I have to, that's one of my things I have to be careful of. And that sometimes goes into more of a blend as well, which we can talk a little bit later. But being aware, now if they show what seems to be true emotion, then they're really most likely outside their comfort zone. That's a good